Alrighty.
We have long.
We have. Welcome, everybody. Planet Green Trees. And we are live and bringing you officially episode 200. We're celebrating our 200th episode tonight. And today, of course, is May 22nd, 2014. It's Thursday. Our call number is 1-347-326-9626. You can listen live or at archived versions, www.planetgreentrees.com. I'm your host, Michael Comorn Law, with me to bring you the most up-to-date, informative, and important information about medical cannabis reform, and really general important issues. Chad from the Birmingham Compassion Club.
Good evening. It's nice to be here.
Rick Thompson from the Compassion Chronicles and editor-in-chief and news director of Planet Green Trees. Welcome, Rick Thompson.
Hello, everybody. Happy 200th.
And, of course, the producer of the show and the one responsible and accountable for liking or hating, Jamie Lowe of the Third Coast Compassion Center.
Hello.
Jamie, of course, while the producers talks too much on the show, we know that. And I'd like to say, if you don't like something about the show, Jamie is the person to call. Complain to him. I don't want to hear about it. Also join us in the studio tonight. I think we decided it's about 10 or 12 episodes. My friend and colleague, fellow counselor, David Radoy of Radoy Law. Welcome, David.
Hello, hello. Congrats on the 200th episode.
Thank you very much. Unique to the previous 199, there was a record going of Comorn rants of 199, and then in the waning minutes of the 199th episode, a sponsorship by Radoy Law provided his own rant, and you can listen to that in the extended version of the archive of episode 199. All right, tonight we are going to be talking about our 200th episode, amongst other things, but calling in is going to be our friend who we've been trying to book for the last couple of weeks, Jeff Hink, East Lansing attorney, as he did last year. He headed up the local ballot effort to legalize cannabis in East Lansing. He's also running for the 8th District House of Representatives and has recently called for the release of the Lansing 7, who are prosecuted in federal court and sentenced to prison despite operating within the parameters of state law. And even though I think we had him booked earlier, a last-minute incident is going to prevent him from calling in, but we're going to be discussing a little bit the article written by award-winning journalist Bill Laitner, where he is referring to substances such as K2 and spice as quote-unquote synthetic marijuana. Even though the substances may be based on the chemical mimicking of some of the cannabinoids, is it fair really to refer to it as fake pot or synthetic marijuana? If not, what should it be referred to and why? We are not going to be hearing from, but we should probably get the article together and have a read-in before we begin to discuss it. We're going to be taking care of that between 8:25 and 9-ish. And then joining us at around the 9 o'clock hour, we are expecting a host of callers who have helped really in the last, 3 years. I don't know what it's been. It's
almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. Really keep the show, participants in the show, people that participated and offered commentary and really helped set the tone for what I think we've been able to do, which is codify every week important events, important developments, positive or negative, cases, legislative input, personal stories, and really the medical side of cannabis. And so that's what's going to be happening around 9 o'clock. And we're hoping to span this conversation. Okay, so I want to do a couple of shout-outs real quick. First to our sponsors, Comorn Law, 1-800-656-3557. The Michigan Medical Marijuana Association, michiganmedicalmarijuana.org. I want to thank the administrators and moderators who volunteer their time to help protect the community there and evolve the conversation in the forums of medical cannabis. Also, the Marijuana Ranch, call for an appointment of the Culture Center. One of the, I think the CEO of the Marijuana Ranch, I think his name is Marijuana Rancher Ron, actually is one of the participants who's going to be calling in and was with us when we started way back when. So give him a call, do a tour, and let's make fun of him when he calls it, okay? And then also to my good friends Dewey and Pam Thomas, who Dewey keeps threatening he's going to show up for the show. I think it's just really that he's had enough of me during the week when he's driving me around. But I want to thank them, and it was good seeing you guys this week. Also, Dr. Kumar Singh of
Green Light
Medical Facility. And it's interesting right now. I've been speaking with Dr. Singh, and apparently the issues of whether or not it's warranted to do a follow-up or require follow-up is a reality or a fantasy. And I can't tell you enough from a lawyer's perspective how it is very, very important. In fact, I'm going to talk for a minute about how those comments, the need for the follow-up has been really playing too important of a role in the defending of patients or caregivers in the criminal justice system. And I can, if you're going to listen to anything that I say, you need to have a quality relationship with your doctor. And the one-time show-ups and come back in 2 years, it's not just that it's not going to work. It's a trap. So don't rely on it. And if you're going to involve yourself with the medical use of marijuana at all, as a caregiver or patient, make sure you've got a relationship with a doctor who's willing to come in and support the certification. All right, so that's the, I think I hit everyone on the sponsor list there. And all right, so I was going to talk for a second about Planet Green Trees and the 200th episode. The first question I think that would come to mind is why have we been doing this for so long? And I think the obvious reason is that I like to talk, and nobody will listen to me. And I got a place where I can just rant and talk. But then also it's that the topic of cannabis, medical cannabis, cannabis reform, hemp, have been the really. It's not just that it's something that I like or enjoy talking about or of interest in.
Green trees.
It is that it is a trending topic. It's something that has been obviously a major issue in the history of America, of its culture, society. We know of the impact it's had on the families, and it is unequivocally I think the most trending topic that exists, and that is one of the reasons why, amongst others, that we do the show every week. I think also, and I don't know if this was our intentions when we first started out, it kind of evolved into this, but we really have been able to, and I think with all the people that have been contributing, especially in the last year plus, have been able to document week after week the evolution of the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act in Michigan. I mean, we have episodes even before the 200 that go back to probably 2009. And don't listen to those because they're very poor quality. And but it is it was that we started out with the idea that we were talking about things that were happening that other people may not have been aware of. I mean, I think at any point in time, there's the version of the way things are happening that you kind of see on the surface, the information that's being passed around, the way it's being interpreted, the principles by which a community is developing and understanding the way in which medical cannabis and the Michigan medical marijuana is being implemented. And then there's the version that we tried to tell, which was one that was a little bit more realistic, a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more interactive. Fortunately or unfortunately, with the court system and how things are playing out there, the legislature, how things are playing out there, the activist community, how things are playing out there. And there is a tremendous amount of information. It's almost too difficult to manage. And clearly, week after week, I always joke like there's so much to talk about. Deciding what to rant about is just it's random because there's a lot of material to draw from. And I think that my perspective has been I've tried primarily to not really be opinionated. I've tried to take the approach of being more of a neutral, objective observer. I know that it's difficult for me to get away from leading questions where I'm suggesting the answer before I let the person I'm questioning give an answer. But on a lot of the topics that have, I think, split the community or at least created challenges to what is the right direction, I've attempted at least on the show to remain neutral and really explore and and flush out everybody's position. I mean, I think at times when I rant, and it's more or less about the politics of the act in the judicial system, which are words that are not supposed to be within the same sentence. It's supposed to be the judicial system and the political system. But I think for all intents and purposes, we've been able to really identify, the crux of some of the challenges for our community. I think we've identified the various views that from within our own community, how people are looking at the future of medical marijuana as either a caregiver-patient system or a broader, bigger business of a dispensary system. And we've heard from everyone that's involved in this, and, ultimately, without suggesting, I think that, it's for the listeners to kind of draw their own conclusions and offer their own thoughts and, comment and criticize as they see fit. And, I can enjoy that role, and I do enjoy the role from the radio show perspective because we're bringing information without opinion, so to speak. And at least the community, those who want to listen, those who care to listen, can hear at least how things are playing out at the legislative level and the court levels and draw their own conclusions. I know that it's been there's a lot of divisiveness, of course, within our own community, but I think that at the end of the day, all the people that have participated, and then just their participation, that fact alone shows that they are all interested in an overarching goal, which is, reform of cannabis and safety for patients and caregivers. And while we all may have different ultimate goals, they've been sharing and providing information and keeping the community up to date in a way that I think has been effective. And that's some of the things that we've been trying to get accomplished. From a lawyer's perspective, I've tried often over and over again to share some of the experiences I've had as a lawyer with the community so they have an understanding, from one vantage point of being involved with a lot of cases involving medical marijuana. I've seen a lot of tragic situations where people get dragged into the court system and never thought that they would. We've shared victories on the show. We've had our clients who, their courage fought the cases, fought the charges, and we got outstanding results. And we did that for the purposes of trying to encourage people to realize that participate in the program, albeit is challenging, is not something that should be feared. And of course, nobody wants to be dragged into the system, but our expressions of and having people call in is a testament that the system does work, should work, and it is the system, of course, that brought about the reform of medical cannabis and will ultimately bring about the reform of cannabis in general. But the stories from the court, good and bad, I think have been enlightening. I think people don't really know. I mean, you shouldn't know unless you're a courtroom observer or, unfortunately, if you have a case. But I think we've been able to define, at least at this point, 5 years into it, 5.5 years, clear ways in which an individual can engage in the use of medical marijuana as a patient or caregiver or someone that's assisting in either of those particular functions, and have at least some guidance, some real, true, valuable information on how to avoid trouble, and some of the things that an individual may want to do to really try to insulate their defenses or their ability to defend themselves should something go sideways. But that's been our goal. That's the way that I advise people when I meet with them in my office. It's the way that I talk to my clients moving forward. And that's something I feel has been a valuable part of the show, and that whether you care to listen or not, I'm offering legal advice, and I hope it serves those who care to listen to it of some value. And, of course, we like to play music. We like to talk about medical cannabis, and we get a regular news report from Rick every week and an update about all the events that have been happening both on the local, national, and international level of news information. And we've seen week after week, just take those segments alone, we've got the highlights of all the news. I mean, you can just play that 5-minute news story in an hour and get, how many would that be? 20 25-minute segments of news that you could cover 20 weeks in a flash. And I think that that's also helpful because, again, documented historically, each one of these episodes is a building block, I think, to what will ultimately be not because of our show, but is a story telling the story of the beginning, the middle, and hopefully an end of some of the insanity that we have seen in our history. So I don't know, I can go on, I can make some more stuff up and keep rambling. I don't really have a legal principle that I'm talking about, and I'm rambling about other stuff, but anyone want to jump in on the rant? I don't normally do this either. We've been breaking from normal traditions.
Wow, that is a kind of a break from normal traditions, jumping in on the rant.
Well, I think, I would ask, those are some of my views on why we do the show. I mean, the question is...
No, but I loved what you said, Michael, and frankly, we are chronicling the change that's happened in Michigan over the last 4 years. There are going to be very interested people once this whole prohibition thing is gone and it's down the road, just like with slavery and just like with civil rights. There'll be very interested people as far as how this movement evolved and how we came about to change marijuana prohibition. And when they do, they'll look at the things that chronicled those experiences. And the Planet Green Tree Show is one of those things that's chronicled our experience over the last 4 years. And I absolutely think that Michigan's story is equally as interesting as Colorado's or as California's or as Washington's. So I think being part of history is significant, but we've also told it in a way that mainstream media doesn't normally cover. We've had people on here that have had individual patient stories that would never have gotten mainstream media coverage. And we've talked about cannabis cures cancer. We raw juiced on the air. You remember that? I mean,
my lawyer told me not to answer that question, but go ahead, yes.
We've done some great. Well, always listen to your lawyer. Good advice. But we've had some fantastic moments. I think about Redden and some of the documenting of his story that we've done, and the Agro case. Barb Agro's been on the show. The plethora of attorneys that we've had offering different viewpoints from differing states and from different parts of our own state. Planet Green Trees has been unique, not only in its longevity, but also in its reach and I believe, in its impact.
Something else I was thinking of, Rick, when you were talking about that. It's difficult. I mean, everyone here on the show, to some degree, plays a role as an activist, and something that is often, and the people that call in are activists. Like, everyone's interested and everyone's participating, but it's all really for free. You know what I mean? Like, no one is getting paid for it. It's very, very challenging. The time and energy that any activist puts in is always taken away from other aspects of their life. It's volunteer. It challenges your relationships with your friends and your family. And I think that's something that, I don't know, I think by putting the show and having it as a regular, it gives, some control over a time frame and a period of time. If people wanted to participate, they can get bits of information. But it goes without saying that the activist world is challenging and very, very difficult to stay in a long-term way because it's not fruitful usually, and
activist burnout too. I
yeah,
mean, we see a lot of interpersonal relationships that get stressed because of activism. People that dedicate a lot of their time towards the movement tend to have, separations and divorces, and tend to sometimes alienate members of their family who may feel strongly against their particular chosen profession. We take a lot of guff, not just from the police and not just from our local officials and not just from the court system, but the interpersonal relationships suffer.
They do. It is. I would say that, and there have been a lot of beefing, I would say, amongst our community. But at the end of the day, I think everyone recognizes at the end of the day, pretty much mostly, there's an overarching theme of goodwill and an overarching theme of
that it's all worth it.
That it is all worth it, no matter what. And it may be, the differences are less as opposed to the agreements that change needs to happen, and that, as you said, Rick, it's worthwhile in the effort. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's take a break. When I come back, we're going to talk. I want to list off some of the guests that we've had, and then we're going to do some news and start taking some callers. And
I think Jamie has a recorded message we're going to play when we first come back too. So.
No, I have not.
All right, let's do that. When we come back. All right, so listen to Planet Green Trees. The call number is 1-347-326-9626. I see that our good friends Dewey and Pam have now arrived on the Planet Green Trees spaceship, and we'll be entering into the studios shortly. Welcome. Welcome.
Let the blast off begin. So.
And we will be right back.